Welcome to Abortion Debate Decoded, where in 15 minutes or less you will learn everything you ever will need to know about the abortion debate. I need to give a warning. If you're an extremist on either side of this debate, I'm going to piss you off. And if you're one of those extremists who cannot listen to someone challenge your opinions, I'm really going to piss you off. So before you take your mouse and throw it through your monitor screen or smash your iPhone against the ground, if you really are strongly, opinionated on this and you can't listen to anyone who you disagree with, then just don't watch the rest of this video. But for everyone else, remember, it is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. So I'm not asking you to accept anything, but you should be able to consider alternative views. I'm going to start by pissing off the pro-life side, then I'm going to go to pissing off the pro-choice side. So if you don't want your pro-life agenda attacked, then leave. Obviously, pro-life people don't give a fuck about being pro-life. And we can see this because at virtually no point in the abortion debate do you ever see a pro-life person discuss the actual conditions which lead to abortion. They don't discuss poverty. They don't discuss problems in people's lives, such as the need to finish an education. There's an idea out there that abortion actually doesn't decrease how many people are born because then people just have children later on in life when they're more able to have them. They don't discuss the high burden of raising a child. They don't actually discuss the practical considerations that go through someone's head when they consider abortion and how those considerations lead to abortion. That just doesn't exist. You never hear a pro-life person say, we need to do more to support pregnant women and moms so they do not feel abortion is their only option. Obviously, if someone was pro-life, they would want to create a world around each baby that fully supported that baby's life. In fact, they would want to create a whole pro-life society where society did its absolute most to ensure healthy life and the continuation of life. So you have to wonder, why is it that the only thing they care about in terms of being pro-life is being pro-birth? They're the pro-birth agenda. They have nothing to do with pro-life. Well, I'm going to tell you why they only care about being pro-birth in terms of things why you should be pro-life about. That's because these conservatives are obsessed with personal responsibility. That's what it's all about. And in their mind, a pregnant woman should be forced to go through with their pregnancy because it's their fault. You did something, you made it happen, you got pregnant, well, then you fucking deal with it. They are pro-birth because they believe it is a moral prescription, a moral consequence for people's actions. That is why their only interest in these fetuses are to make sure that the fetus comes out of the mother alive. There is no need to help new moms because it's their fault and their personal responsibility. Therefore, if someone has to drop out of school and they can't work and they're in poverty, there's no need to help out the mom or the baby because the baby doesn't matter. The baby is irrelevant. It's that the mother should struggle with poverty because that is her moral, consequence. They want to prescribe that suffering, that poverty, that misery, whatever the consequences are, they believe that should be prescribed for the woman because she's the one who got pregnant. They believe capitalism is a meritocracy, and that's their morality. That's why you don't see pro-life people, worried about pollution. They don't care about child poverty. They don't care about war. A lot of these people supported, Bush's wars in the Middle East. Because they don't care about life. I know people could have spent literally hundreds of hours of their lives listening to pro-life, quote-unquote, pro-life people blab on about their philosophy around abortion, and I just summed it all up in less than 4 minutes. I told you everything you need to know in less than 4 minutes. Now let's do about the same thing with the pro-choice agenda. The pro-choice agenda is the belief that society should support the individual. Not that individuality really matters much, but they believe that it's all about the greater good and that society needs to take care of people. Therefore, if you fucked up, you got pregnant, we should support you and allow you to get out of your mistake. We will allow you to have an abortion. We will even pay for your abortion. We are here to help. The problem that pro-choice runs into is the inconvenient fact that life begins at the moment of conception. Pick up any embryology textbook and it will say, life doesn't begin at birth. That's a momentous occasion in your life, but your life begins at the moment of conception. It's a fact. So in its most literal sense, getting an abortion is killing human life. And the feel-good, hipsy-dooster liberals who just want to love everyone and help everyone and have society help everyone out, they just can't deal with the fact that they're supporting an agenda which is directly terminating human life. So they come up with all this stuff that a fetus isn't a person, human life begins at birth, people have told me that, they'll say it's a parasite, they'll go through all sorts of extremes to deny the humanity of the developing fetus. Now, if you ask me, abortion is a really early form of infanticide. And infanticide is something that exists in nature when a baby is coming into the world and the animal is just simply not in a situation to take care of it. And there are some other reasons for it, like you'll see like large cats will go and try to kill the kittens that were fathered from another cat. Nature is fucking vicious. I mean, so when should we really care? I mean, you can play this game. Should you care if a sperm gets washed down the toilet or dries up in a sock after someone jerks off? Do you only care when it's a baby? We have this idiotic debate that really pushes things on both extremes. And to be honest, I'm not going to propose a perfect answer and people come up with the first fetal heartbeat. I mean, you could draw the line anywhere you want. In one sense, at least in terms of morality, since I believe morality is subjective, you can make up any point you want. And you can make up any point where you're going to feel comfortable with. Where do you draw the line? Where do you say it's just some cells? And where do you say it's a person who has human rights that society is going to respect? I mean, it's kind of, again, arbitrary, wherever you feel like, really. What we're running into is the fallacy of the beard. The fallacy is the argument that two states or conditions cannot be considered distinct because there exists between them a continuum of states. And we see this on both sides, where the pro-life side will call a 1 hour-old fetus a baby when it clearly isn't. And, the pro-choice side, they'll want 8.5-month abortions. And it's just a fetus, it's not a human, it doesn't matter, it's a parasite. So where does feminism come into this? Well, feminism has nothing to do with abortion. It has fucking nothing to do. It's completely irrelevant what you think about women and your position on abortion. Feminism is someone going hysterical and saying whatever they possibly can to avoid facing the actual reality that they are advocating for. And that reality is that they believe that in certain situations, very early human life should be terminated. Now, that's a position I'm not arguing with. I believe it's completely circumstantial whether or not it should be appropriate to do that. But if you're saying, hey, in these circumstances, we're just going to have to terminate human life, then just say it. Just be honest with yourself. Don't come up with this feminism crap. That's why, both sides of this debate are just a stupid fucking echo chamber where they make arguments to themselves, but nothing they say is convincing to the other side because everything that both sides says is completely hypocritical bullshit. If we can learn one thing from this vaccine debate, from this COVID pandemic with this bullshit COVID-19 vaccine, which is nothing more than some eugenicist project as far as I'm concerned, it should be that all of the so-called pro-choice, women have the right to control their bodies, so-called liberals, don't give a fuck about pro-choice. They don't believe people should be able to control their body. They believe that the government and corporations and people like Bill Gates should own your body. And they believe that people like Bill Gates should be able to control what goes into your body. They believe Bill Gates should be able to program your genes. They believe that you are a slave to corporations. Pro-choice. They don't give a fuck about pro-choice. They're pro-abortion. It's just to get it, the pro-life people are only pro-life when it comes to birth. And the pro-choice people are only pro-choice when it comes to abortion. 100% bullshit on both sides. So this is what we end up with, this clusterfuck of shit. On this political continuum, we have on the left the ass, whose position is kill all the unborn. Let's have full-term abortions. And what happens is you have a couple of extreme radicals on this side. And they start preaching and preaching and preaching to everyone who's somewhere on the so-called political left. And they start radicalizing more and more people. So instead of having a few fringe, kill all the unborn people, you have a massive army of kill all the unborn people. Likewise, on the right with this fucking elephant, every fetus is precious. Now, there probably really aren't many people who care about the life of a 2-week-old fetus. Maybe there's something wrong with me. Maybe I just can't see reality, but I don't think anyone really gives a fuck about the life of a 2-week-old fetus, especially the pro-life people. You know, they don't care about pollution, poisoning women, and poisoning the fetus. Oh, but they care about the abortion. But you have a few radicals there, and they preach and preach and preach and preach, and they start pulling people who are somewhat conservative in terms of other stuff over to their side. And what you would really have in the middle is a vast majority of people who become radicalized by this debate. And the big problem with this, it's not really about abortion. It's once someone gets radicalized by the abortion debate, no matter what, they will either vote Democrat or Republican. Nothing else matters. And what really affects politics when it comes to this is how can you get a third party going? How can you get alternative views into politics when no matter who that third party person is, whatever that third agenda is, whatever that alternative is to the bullshit Democrat Republican, they have to have a position on abortion, which means automatically they lose like, I don't know, a quarter of the people who might potentially be interested in them. I mean, my guess would be there's about a quarter of the population who is radically on the kill the unborn side, and then there's, they're pro-abortion. They're not pro-choice, they're pro-abortion side, and then you have a quarter of the people who are radically on the pro-birth side. And then you probably have like 50% of the population who really don't give so much a fuck, and they're just like, can't they come up with a time like somewhere between 3 to 6 months where we say before that you can have an abortion and you can't after, and just get on with our lives and worry about other things? That's really kind of where I am. I mean, I don't know where the best place to draw the line is. I'm not going to say what it is, but I can say they should just say, this is the month, this is the point, this is where we draw the line, and let's just settle it. So to sum up my personal opinion, which is of course the correct opinion because it's coming from me, and I know more than anyone else, I guess, morality is subjective, which I guess is going to piss people off, but I think circumstances determine what morality is functional for the benefit of the individual and society at large. And as the environment changes, and as basically the conditions in which we live in change, then what set of morals which is most functional is going to change. There's no perfect answer. What is the total effect on society by banning abortion? Does this make people happier? Does it make the population happier? Is just having more and more humans, is that the goal in and of itself? Ultimately, the validity of very early feticide is a function again of environmental stresses. I mean, if you want to have your pro-life position, if pro-life is genuine, then we need a pro-life society. I think if people are able to build a truly pro-life society, and then within their pro-life society, they want to make the argument, we can support all this human life, it can function well, let's get rid of abortion. Okay, well, if you created the conditions which we don't need abortion, fine, let's get rid of abortion then. Then at that point, you can just make, some argument about why a woman shouldn't be able to control that, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I'm not getting that far into it, but I'll just say, if you really want to be pro-life, again, where's your pro-life society? Where's the rest of your pro-life agenda? You put that together, and I think people are going to listen. But you have nowhere near that. If pro-choice is genuine, then we need a pro-body autonomy society, not a bunch of fake liberal fascist fucks who want Bill Gates and Charles Schwab to control what goes in and out of everyone else. Things are now, we should just pick a reasonable point up to which to allow abortions and then just move on with more pressing concerns, because as the world gets more and more fucked up, abortion is going to become less and less of an issue to most people. The way it is now, people aren't allowed to go outside and expose even their human faces to meet each other and to even have sex. You don't see all the pro-life people getting hysterical at this COVID nonsense. People aren't having sex. We can't have babies. This is bad for pro-life. Which is, again, just another example of how it really has nothing to do with being pro-life. And, of course, the social ramifications of abortion debate are more important than the issue of abortion. Thank you for listening to this. And, again, you don't need to ever listen to anyone else about this abortion debate. It's subjective. You could pick whatever point in development that you want to value human life. If you can value the unfertilized egg, and you can say every time a woman has her period, that's like murder, and we need to stop periods and salvage all those eggs. I mean, if that's people can come with all sorts of ridiculous opinions, and it's just their subjective moral belief.